Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 3180 Northeast Mohan Drive here in McMinnville. We're checking the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. My foot counter wasn't working on the advance out there, so I'm resetting the equipment here. We're sitting at the main lateral connection, as you can see, and the line right now is just in the process of draining off. So we'll pull back and get a foot count on that and see how everything looks once it's drained. Just located the camera head there. Line terminates on Mohan Drive. As you face the house from the road, the line ends up running just a foot or two in from the right side edge of the driveway. It crosses into the street right about where the driveway flares out into the driveway skirt. Alright, so end to end here, it looks like the line is, my foot counter for whatever reason counts backwards a little bit differently than when you advance out. So out to the main, we're going to call it about 50 feet. And when I was going backwards there, I noticed we had a little bit of debris in the line, so I broke it up with the camera, and then did a toilet flush real quick just to bust it loose. So starting at the clean out and then going back in here, line is drained off now. Yeah, it looks like the toilet flush fully went through there at this point. And there's still some little item. I'm going to have to do this one more time. There's something, I don't know if someone put a wipe down the sewer line there. I'm going to try and knock that loose because anything that sits in standing water will displace it and make it exaggerated looking. Alright, just did 3 toilet flushes there and ran the bathtub for a moment. And that was enough there. Can't figure out what is sitting in the line. We still probably got a little bit of water still trickling off here. We're going to push back in here for just a second. Let it drain off for a moment. Anyway, you've got a little bit of a belly here right as you go backwards into the house, and it looks like exactly that, a little bit of a belly. It's not an ultra significant thing here. Once the line drains off, it looks like at its worst point you might be working with a ½ inch or so of standing water. And for reference, I've been doing this 13 years. I've cambered about 25,000 sewer lines, and you know where I typically start to consider repairs is once you've got about a 5-foot section of pipe with an inch of standing water in it that's static with no water running at all, and that's like an inch across the whole length of it, not just in one little spot. But even at that point, in a plastic sewer line, bellies in plastic sewer lines are a very different animal than a belly in cast iron, for instance. Those smooth pipe walls, they're one of the greatest advancements we have made in sewer pipe design ever. It's a lot harder for debris to hang up. So when you combine standing water and rough pipe materials like cast iron, not a great combo. Bellies in plastic pipe, debris moves to the line in a very different fashion. The big thing with bellies and plastic pipe is not abusing them. Not putting grease down the line, wipes, stuff like that. So you've got a teeny bit of standing water that persists back here to about 5 feet. You can see we taper off. There's almost nothing there in that last foot or so. So right now that water line isn't quite going over the top of my camera lens. It's about 3/4 of an inch at its worst point. No, and there is a little bit of debris there at the top of the pipe, but not gargantuan sums of it. It's a little bit different animal, and the debris buildup tells you a story. You know, a little bit of stuff there tells you a blockage may have happened at some point in the past. The hard part is, what you're never going to know is what actually caused it. You know, there's a belly's one thing, but when you start flushing, you know, a gigantic wad of wipes down the line, for instance, what I've found over the years, a lot of times it gets these bellies to act up. The belly is only part of it. The homeowner is a huge part of that equation. When you're putting wads and wads of stuff down the line that shouldn't be going down there, or gigantic balls of toilet paper, also that should not go down your line. That's often what gets these things to act up. But what I'm seeing there is a little bit of grease buildup at the top of the pipe. I'm not seeing toilet paper scraps hanging from the top of the sewer line, anything like that indicates frequent recurring flow issues, and I wouldn't expect to see it from a belly of that size right there. At its worst point, you've got about 3/4 of an inch of water for maybe 2 feet or so out of that belly. The rest of it tapers off down to about a 1/16 quarter inch. So that one, in my opinion, is not significant enough to require repair work. You're ranging anywhere from about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of standing water. But with and another important factor there is when you get beyond the belly, you don't have any more of that buildup debris at the top of the sewer line. The more concerning thing is when you are prior to a belly, if you've got debris gacked to the top of the pipe going all the way back to the very back end of the sewer line, what that tells you is that actually resulted in a true full-on backup. Blockages happen all the time in people's sewer lines, especially when you have little kids in the house that are balling their toilet paper up. And what you find is you can tell that a blockage occurred, but then, you know, water fills up for 3 to 5 feet behind it, and that's enough head pressure that it just busts everything loose. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. It looks like at some point in the past there may have been a blockage there, but it does not show any signs of recurring issues. Otherwise, we would have much thicker debris buildup at the top of the pipe, and it wouldn't just be grease. You'd have toilet paper scraps hanging down, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So anyway, that's not a belly I'm going to recommend a repair on. That's the kind of thing, it all comes down to how you treat the sewer line. If you're treating the line as it should, a belly like that has very little effect on functionality. So we have good flow all the way to the main lateral connection. From the exterior out, clean out, you have proper flow. You know, when you look at the entire picture, obviously the standing water is affecting flow in some fashion, but you still very much have adequate flow of the main lateral connection. All the pipe is in good condition, nothing's broken, and by and large, quite a clean sewer line. So sewer line is functioning properly at this time.